Yo, what's going on, good peoples? Saturday sessions. Let's see what's good. See who's up and at 'em this morning. This beautiful day. See what's going on. Healing Chamber, Cats and Coconuts. What's going on? Let me see if I can shoot out a few more messages. Yeah, we talking from Agent Smith to Morpheus today. From Agent Smith to Morpheus. Yeah. What's going on, Asar? How y'all doing? From Agent Smith to Morpheus, this Saturday session. This is funny. Yeah, I'm doing this based off of a lecture by Ra about reflectors. So this is, let me premise this. This is for my reflectors out here. This is heavily for reflectors, right? And those that have reflectors in their life. The importance of having a reflector in your life, and, what's the value of reflectors in your life. And for those that don't understand or don't know about why they need reflectors in their lives, right? So it's for everybody, but I do want to premise this for reflectors, because this is important. This is truly important for reflectors. I'm taking up Ra on this challenge. Ra said it's almost impossible to wake up reflectors, to wake up not self-reflectors. So, yeah, challenge accepted, Ra. Listening to this lecture by Ra about reflectors and the awakened reflector versus the not self-reflector, the one percenters. Right. As I'm listening to this lecture, right, Ra's talking about how reflectors are normally the people that keep everybody in line in the program, right? Pretty much keeping people in a not self, pretty much keeping people in line with the indoctrination, religion, cults, things like that, right? Government, just keeping everybody in line. Nobody, reflectors have this ability to spot who has stepped out of line, who has stepped out of the program, who's trying to break free of the program, right? And I found it real funny because, for those that have seen the movie, The Matrix, right? We seen the Agent Smith, right? When Morpheus had Neo and Neo was breaking free from the system, from the Matrix, right? Agent Smith started showing up. Right? No, get back in line. No, get back in line. No, get back in line. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Because you cause a rift, right? You cause a rift in the system. Every time somebody breaks free, then there's a shift. There's a rift in the system, right? And it causes a ripple effect, and it causes other people to break free. It causes somebody to take notice, right? Somebody else notices, and it's like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't know that could happen, right? Where did that come from? How did that happen? So what happens with reflectors are, the way he explained it, it was like, you think back to like modern times where, you had the Senate, you had these people in place, and they were like, keeping everybody in line with fear, right? And you had some people to stand up against the system, and they would bring you out, make an example of you, behead you, right, to instill the fear of what could happen if you tried to break free of the system, right? So Ra explained that as these are the reflector types. That's the reflector aura type. The reflector aura type can scan the crowd, can scan humanity, right, and say that's going to be a problem. That person's going to be a problem. That person's going to be a problem, right? Versus trying to herd the whole crowd, you would use the reflector to say, no, that person's going to be a problem. Pull them out. That person gets beheaded. So I named this From Agent Smith to Morpheus. And the reason I did that was because in the Matrix, Morpheus was the one that saw Neo. He was the one that saw that Neo was fed up with life. He was the one that saw Neo was ready to break free from the system, even though Neo didn't know it at the time. You know what I'm saying? Neo was still kind of going back and forth. He was wavering. He knew there were some things about life he didn't like. He knew there were some things he was, upset about, or, he wasn't too keen on, but he still hadn't made a decision. And Morpheus was able to see that and pull that out, right? And coach him through that, right? Get him to the place, get him the types of resources. He got him in the network, the right people to talk to help him mold, to help him elevate his mind, to help him be able to see, use his all-seeing eye to see the system that he had been locked into, right? And it was that red or blue pill moment, right? Like, okay, now I've shown it to you, right? Now the choice is yours. Do you want to go back to what you're used to the same old mundane, boring, back and forth, things that you hate about life, but that just is what it is? Or are you ready to wake up? Are you ready to wake up and join us in ascension, right? Getting to the place of building outside of the system, right? They reflect us to ourselves. Exactly. So, and that's exactly where I'm going with this. I'm trying to build the story, build for those who haven't seen The Matrix or who don't remember all of this part about The Matrix, right? Exactly the role that Morpheus played. I don't really think people understand the role that Morpheus played in The Matrix, when it came to Neo and Neo's ascension and Neo being woken up. So that's us reflectors, right? That's us reflectors. So I believe I've explained how reflectors, show up. I've used it in the sense of when you're building a house, right? You're building a house, right? You have a vision. You have this vision. That's a manifester. The manifester has a vision of this house, right? The manifester tells his vision to a projector who's an architect, a designer. The projector designs everything, puts the plan together, right? The projector then passes those plans on to general contractors who are builders, generators, right? Electricians, brick masons, roofers, right? All of that. And generators build. Then you have mani-gens who beautify the space. They are express builders. And then everything is built. What needs to happen? It needs to be inspected. Who's the inspector? Who makes sure it's healthy? Who makes sure it passes inspection in order for people to live in it, right? The reflector does. The reflector is a person that walks through and with the red marker and goes, no, that's not up to code. No, that's not up to code. that needs to be redone. That's okay. You know what I mean? You pass or fail your inspection. And it's funny because the healing chamber and I have this kind of running joke about the reflector when the reflector shows up. I'll let her explain that to y'all. But so when it comes to having reflectors in your life, being connected to reflectors, the importance of it, right? When you are building an ecosystem, right? The reflector is the person that makes sure that your ecosystem does not have invasive species, right? The reflector makes sure that when you do have invasive species, that you are able to spot them and get rid of them. You dig what I'm saying? So having a reflector, when you have an ecosystem, you building out your own ecosystem, you have a business. You're building out a business, which means you're building out a culture. Your ecosystem is your culture, right? So the healing chamber, are you going live afterwards to explain the running joke? The healing chamber can join on this to explain the running joke if she wants to. But having that reflector, when you're building out an ecosystem, which is your culture, right? The culture is so important to your business. Your business culture, that is what but when you're hiring people, when you build to a space of you are hiring employees, right? You're the first thing you're hiring for, the most important thing you're hiring for, well, you're hiring for competency, right? You're hiring for the ability to do the job. But one of the most important things you're hiring for is your job culture, your work culture, the culture of your establishment, right? Because that sets the tone for everything. That sets the tone for how you deal with your customers, right? That sets the tone for, first and foremost, before you even get to your customers, how is your staff dealing with each other? How are you dealing with the staff? How do y'all see each other? How do y'all operate together? Your mechanics, right? So the reason we use human design and gene keys and the genes report, all of that for building out your system is because it establishes the type of culture that you have, right? It establishes what type of systems you're going to put in place, right? So it establishes your energetics, your mechanics of how everybody operates within that space, right? Within that business, within that construct, how everybody operates with each other. Because we have to make sure alignment and correctness. Exactly. We have to make sure that there is alignment and correctness. We have to make sure that everybody, like I've explained before, it's like a symphony. You have to make sure people are reading the same music, right? That's your business. Your business is you're the maestro, right? So you got to make sure people are reading music from the same sheet, right? You got to make sure the wind instruments are playing the tune that they're supposed to play to be alignment with the string instruments, right? So the string instruments are in alignment with the drums. The drums are playing the way that they need to play, right? It's the same thing when it comes to your business culture, right? So what happens is the reflector can hear when something's out of tune. The reflector can see when somebody's not playing with the same enthusiasm. So when it comes to your business culture, how is everything flowing, right? And then you got to make sure there's no invasive species in your business, in your culture, in your office, right? Sherry Calico said, nothing will break a growing business faster than disharmony. absolutely right, right? Your business culture, because this this flows from inside, right? Inside of your business culture, it flows from there to outside to your customer, right? And we all know customer service is the lifeblood of your business, right? The way you deal with your customers, the way you handle your customers. We always think about your customer's journey from the time they initiate contact to the time they walk out the door. How do you recap? How do you follow up? How do you how do you nurture, right? How are you nurturing through the entire process, right? And not only that, like we talk about the client journey or the prospect's journey when you're hiring people too, right? From the initial point of contact, from the time they apply for the job, right, till they get to the preliminary interview, then they get a real interview. Like, what's that journey look like? Is that journey comfortable for them, or is that journey uncomfortable for them, right? How does that journey make them feel, right? So when we're talking about the business culture and we're talking about reflectors, the reason reflectors are important is because we can see when things are out of balance, when things are out of harmony, when things are disharmonious, right? When people don't feel well, right? I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen the show Billions, right? But in this show Billions, it's a show about hedge fund managers, traders, and it's the business is called Axe Capital. So there's this lady named Wendy for Axe Capital. She's the performance coach. She's the person that makes sure the employees are performing at their optimum level. Def Perp said just made it to season 7, right? So you understand who Wendy is. She's the person that makes sure everybody in the company is performing at optimum level, right? She knows all their secrets. She knows everything about them. She knows their triggers. She knows the things that get them in alignment. She knows the thing. She knows when they're out of alignment. She can see it. She can hear it in the conversations, right? That's what reflectors are. I always thought Wendy was a projector. It's possible. But being from her position, right, making sure that people are performing, making sure that she can see, right? And we know, yes, projectors are different than reflectors, but projectors and reflectors have a very similar imprint, right? Except for the defined center, right? But what I'm saying is the reflector is the person that sees when somebody's off. The reflector sees when somebody is disruptive to the culture. The reflector sees when somebody is bringing a disruptive nature to the culture, right? Not only in your business, but in your life, right? Because going back to what Ra said in the lecture was the way she be reading them, inspiring, right? But yes, yeah, the way she sees things. But going back to what Ross said in that lecture was how reflectors keep people in line, right? And that's the reason he wanted to convert he was like, the program gets upset when you pull reflectors out, right? Because reflectors are used to keep the program, because we are like the closest to the program than anyone else, right? We are complete openness, so to speak, right? So we're feeding off of the neutrino field. We're feeding off of the planetary shifts and alignments, right? So what Ra was saying was, reflectors are the ones that keep people in line at Juma, right? At mass prayer, right? Reflectors are the ones that keep, reflectors are the priests, right? That are pushing different agendas, You dig what I'm saying? So in correlation to that, a reflector in your business and in your life, the awakened reflector, let's put it that way. Even the unawakened reflector, right? So in the lecture, he talked about, how, when they took a break, how everyone was coming up to him, telling him about their reflector boss stories, right? The reflector in corporations is the person that's keeping everybody in line. The reflector is the one that's looking over your shoulder. The reflector is the micromanager. The reflector is the person that's, the supervisor that's calling you out for every little mistake that you're doing, because you're bending the process, right? You're not moving correctly in their eyes, right? So imagine the awakened reflector on your team, right? The awakened reflector is gonna make sure that there are no invasive species in your program, right? There's no invasive species in your ecosystem, right? To disrupt your ecosystem. The reflector is gonna make sure that the people that's coming on board, the people that you're doing business with, right? Anybody ever seen like how really wealthy people have, an advisor? Like sometimes they have this advisor that's with them, and there's this person that's always around that almost never speaks, but they're just around, right? They're at the meetings. Keyword awaken. Yes, it is exactly. The keyword is awaken. The aligned, vizier. Oh wow. Okay, Def Perp. I see you. I don't think nobody know what that means, but I got you. I do. But the reflector is making sure that the people that you're doing business with is in alignment. The reflector is making sure that the people you're partnering with is in alignment. The reflector is making sure that your systems are in place, right? The reflector is looking for the holes in your system, the holes in your ecosystem, the holes in your processes, right? So that we could plug those holes, right? I was saying, you ever see, wealthy people have this advisor around them. Sometimes they're spiritual advisors. Sometimes they're just advisors, right? But they're around and they don't say much, right? They just around and they have these very private conversations, right? I remember people used to ask me, like, if I could like what it is that I do, or, if I could encompass all the things that I do in one word. And one of the things I used to say, or one of the things I used to, the way kings were seen as running things, but it was really the advisor. Absolutely. So I was going to say, one of the words that I would use to explain myself to people would be a concierge. A concierge was the advisor to the mob boss, right? The concierge was somebody, not Jafar level, royal vizier, right? The concierge was the person that would make things happen. The mob boss didn't make a decision. Like Sherry Calico just said, the way kings were seen as running things, but it was really the advisor. When you think about the mob boss, right? Yes, he was the boss, but guess what? He never made a decision without talking to his advisor first. He never made a partnership. He never made a deal. He never nodded his head on a hit. He never nodded his head on anything unless his concierge gave the okay, right? Because the concierge knew everything that was going on behind the scenes, front of the scenes, who was involved in what, who was attached to who who he couldn't hit, who he was related to, what was moving, how the whole scene played out, right? The concierge knows it all. The concierge is the person that makes things happen. And I got something coming that's going to be called, the power of the number two, right? Because the concierge was really the number two, right? You had the boss, and then there was a number two behind the boss. But the actual number two was the concierge. The concierge was the one that actually the mob boss got the advice. He never made a move. The kings got advisors. They never made a decision without speaking to their advisor first, right? So when it comes to having reflectors in your ecosystem, the importance of having a reflector in your ecosystem, right? We make sure that the system is running smoothly, properly. We make sure that you have a well-oiled machine, right? A lot of people like to talk about grinding. Guess what? A well-oiled machine don't grind. I'm going to say that again. A well-oiled machine does not grind, right? Shout out to Fonte for that too. But a well-oiled machine don't grind. You know what I'm saying? So in order for your business to run smoothly, in order for your business to run, your processes, your systems to be in place, to get the plug, making sure your cogs and your spindles and your springs and everything is oiled, like the ecosystem in your car. When you hear grinding in your car, guess what? Something's wrong. You better get to a mechanic fast, ASAP, as soon as possible, like yesterday, right? Because if you hear grinding in your car's engine, you got a bad day coming. You have a truly, truly, truly bad day coming if you hear grinding in your car engine. You know what I'm saying? If you hear grinding if there's grinding in your body, right? You know how sometimes we have joint issues, right? Where you're moving your joints and you hear like this pop or this grinding in your knees, in your elbows, your wrists, your shoulders. Guess what? There's something wrong. There's something wrong when you hear grinding in your joints, right? The cartilage is gone. It's your bones rubbing against each other. You know what I'm saying? You need to get that fixed. A well-oiled machine don't grind. That's what reflectors do. Reflectors make sure you have a well-oiled machine. Reflectors make sure that you are moving. Everybody in your camp is moving in unison, right? We're moving in operation as a team. You know what I'm saying? The reflector makes sure that. The reflector calls people out. The reflector says, and part of the thing, and if you know any reflectors, you know any awakened reflectors. Had to jot that down on a whiteboard real quick. Sure. If you know any awakened reflectors, if you know any reflectors that are in alignment with themselves, that are living out their design, the reflector does not mind being a bad guy. The reflector will accept being a bad guy all the time, right? Even the same thing with the reflectors that keep people in line. The Agent Smiths, right? The Agent Smith is okay with being called the bad guy because his job is to make sure people stay in line. That's it. Don't get it. No, you're breaking the cycle of the program. You're upsetting the ecosystem. Agent Smith is there to keep you in line. He don't give a fuck. He don't care if he's called a bad guy. He don't care how many people hate him. He's there to do something. He's there to make sure things stay in alignment with the program, right? Then think about the awakened reflector. How many times did Neo express his hate for Morpheus? His hate for what Morpheus was taking him through. His hate for what Morpheus was showing him, right? Morpheus didn't mind that. Why? Because it's part of the process. That's who we are. It's part of the process. We are here to make sure we are the inspector. We're here to make sure things are operating at its highest potential. Be it people, be it businesses, be it systems, processes. We're here to make sure that things are operating at its highest potential, right? That's our job. You know what I'm saying? We're here of service. That's the service. That's the, and there was this joke around, like in the lecture, Rod talked about like the purpose, right? The reflector not necessarily having a purpose. And it's a lot of language, I don't want to get off into all of that, like all of the language and all of the nuances that need to take place, right? Because a lot of that is just, that was Ra attempting to give some information about reflectors where he had lacked. He had lacked a lot of information around reflectors, right? He kind of left the information around reflectors out. So it was his attempt to try and give some more in-depth information around what it's like to be a reflector and for reflectors, right? And for people to understand reflectors and learn about reflectors. But what I'm saying is the reflector does not mind calling people out when they are an invasive species. When people are disrupting the system, they're disrupting the ecosystem. That's what the reflector is for, right? The running joke with the healing chamber and I around the reflector. Are you still here? She probably not on here no more. But if she is, please put in the comment the running joke, right? But having a reflector, knowing a reflector, being close to a reflector. So I was telling them about the running joke that we have about the reflector or the inspector or people not passing inspection when the reflector comes around. So having a reflector close to you, knowing a reflector, having a reflector on each and every person on here in life. And if you are a business owner, right, you should have a reflector. You should seek to have a reflector on your team. You should have a projector on your team, right? Now, generators, mini-gens, there's a lot of them. You can always find them, right? But having a reflector on your team, for those of you that know reflectors that you don't communicate with, right? Learn to communicate with your reflectors, because there's insight that we have that only we can see, right? Especially if you're a business owner. If you're a CEO, right, always doing quality control. If you're a CEO, you in the middle of the storm. You can't see it all. It's impossible for you to see it all because you in the middle of it. You trying to put together the processes. You trying to put together the system. You trying to make sure people are, on task and doing right. So that's what the reflector does. The reflector comes in and says that person's not operating in their highest potential, right? Also, what the reflector does is not only is it part of the quality control is for the reflector is we do sessions with your employees to make sure that they're operating in their highest potential. That's part of what we do. Is we make sure that they're operating correctly. We make sure that they're operating in alignment with your vision and your goals and your mission. We make sure that they're operating in their correctness of their mechanics, right? We make sure that they're operating in the correctness of their mechanics so they don't burn out, right? It's not just so that you don't burn out, it's so that the whole team doesn't burn out. Again, back to Wendy Rhodes. She was the performance coach, to make sure people were operating in their highest potential, to make sure people were operating in the correctness of their mechanics, to make sure they were operating right in Axe Capital to make money, right? If somebody's off, that means they're making bad trades. They call them bad puts. They call them bad, they're not doing the proper research, right? It's costing them money. It's costing the business money, right? And in the show Billions, they talking about billions of dollars, right? Multi-millions and billions of dollars. So if you operating out of alignment and you calling bad puts and bad trades and things like that, you costing this man hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars. Guess what? Off with your head. Off with your head. Like that, nope, he can't be saved. She can't be saved. Right? So having that reflector in your life, that, going from that Agent Smith to Morpheus. You know what I'm saying? Agent Smith to Morpheus. So that you have alignment and correctness in your ecosystem. That's what the reflector is for. To make sure you have alignment, correctness, you have processes in place, you have your system in place, you have the right people in place doing the right jobs, right? And they're not overwhelmed, they're not overworked, they're not being burnt out, right? They're able to manage their energetics, they're operating in their proper mechanics, even when they go home, right? One of the things that we talk about a lot at the Healing Chamber is startup culture, right? A lot of people that join organizations, and this is very important, I really want to touch on this. A lot of people that see things happening, they see somebody that they're close to, they see somebody that, they've been affiliated with, with the Healing Chamber, what the Healing Chamber has built. You know what I'm saying? And everybody want to be a part of it. They want to jump in. They want to, I can help. I want to come and help you. I want to come be a part of this great thing, right? Because they see the results. They don't see the work behind the scenes, right? Part of that is a lot of y'all don't understand startup culture. A lot of people don't understand what it means to be building a startup. Even though it's grown, it's built, it's established, it's still in startup phase. It's still startup culture, right? People come in and they want this 9 to 5. Oh, I'm going to come and sit at my desk, kick my feet up. It's going to be all good. I'm working with my friend. Like this thing that they see, that they have this expectation, this entitlement, so to speak. No, this is startup culture, right? If you've ever been, and a lot of people haven't, I understand that. Startup culture, there is no work-life balance. There is no clock in, clock out, right? There is no I'm off of work. When you working in a company, when you building with a company, it's not because you're not just working in it. You're in the family, right? That's something that people need to truly understand. You're in the family. You're helping build the beginning stages of this thing. You know what I'm saying? There is no off. You always on. You are always on. Right? Yes, it is consistently shifting. It's consistently changing. It's living. It's breathing. It's growing. Right? The systems are changing. Everything is shifting. Everything is always moving. There is no clock in, take my breaks, take my lunch, clock out, I'm going home for the day. No such thing. Because guess what's going to happen? The reflector is going to say that person's not operating in alignment with the mission, the vision, the values, the culture off at their head. Quality control. The reflector is going to say, no, that person doesn't fit. That person doesn't fit the culture. This is startup culture. You're building something that has a global presence. Mess around and miss baby's first words and step. Right. That's a part of it, though. People have to understand what they sign on for. And a lot of people have no idea what they sign on for. Because all they see are the end results. All they see is what's happened on the back end. They don't see all of the turning, the screwdrivers, the nails, the hammers. Like, it's like building a house. People see the end result. Oh my God, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful house. It looks great. It looks wonderful. Like the bedrooms, the way they put together. Like do you see the sink? You see the bathtub? That's gorgeous, right? How much toiling did it take to get it to that beautiful place, to materialize this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful entity, right? Because a business is a living, breathing entity. It's alive, right? Especially so when it's in startup phase, you are in it. There is no out of it. There is no I'm clocking in and clocking out. There is no off. You're always on. You always on the clock. 2 o'clock in the morning, you always on the clock, right? You take your naps. You always on the clock. So people need to truly, truly understand that when they say they want to join something, right? Not just the healing chamber, but I'm speaking on the healing chamber because that's who I align with, right? But when people say they want to join something, like, you truly got to understand what it is that you signing up for. What are you signing up for? In any company. You know what I'm saying? There is no go to work, come home, work-life balance. Forget all of that. Like, toss all of that out your head. Toss all that out your mind. That don't exist. Not in startup culture. So that's the reason, you have reflectors on board. Because the reflector's going to look at them people and say, no, they don't fit the culture. They don't fit the mission. They don't fit the vision. They don't fit. Right? They got to go. This person understands startup culture. You know what I mean? Like, this person is willing to come in, roll up their sleeves, and get dirty. Get the work done, right? They understand that, hey, I'm here for the long haul. I'm here for the bigger vision, right? It ain't here to just put a few pieces to the puzzle in and go take a rest. No, you gotta keep it. You gotta keep it moving, right? So that's in a long, short way. You know what I mean? That's what I'm explaining when it comes to the importance of having reflectors in your ecosystem, right? For those of y'all, for the reflectors, for those awakened reflectors to understand their mechanics and their energetics, right? To understand that what their value, right? Understand what your value truly is, right? For those that have reflectors in their lives, in their businesses, that are close to reflectors, right? For you to understand and comprehend and be aware of the value that you have around you, right? The value that you have in your corner, the people that are going to make sure that you are able to operate at your optimum potential, right? And for those that don't have reflectors in their lives or in their business, you need to find one, right? Also, this is what we're doing at the Healing Chamber, right? just to wrap it all, to tie it all in. At the healing chamber, this is what we doing. We bringing you in. You get to talk to a reflector, right? You have the projector's vision. The projector has this vision, this mission, this goal, right? To build this culture, to help women, high performance women, entrepreneurs and executives, to get in alignment, to get back balance, to get back in harmony, right? To operate at their highest potential, to operate at their optimum potential, right? One of the things you get to do is talk to a reflector and have a reflector to do quality control over your business, over your life, over your systems, over your processes, over your ecosystem. You dig what I'm saying? That's one of the ways we get you in that space. We help you. We help bring you back in alignment. We help fix the things, right? We help transform that noise and chaos into a beautiful symphony, right? For those that are overworked, overwhelmed, right? Nervous systems out of whack, right? Dealing with health issues, improper diet, right? Improper digestion. You're not in alignment with yourself, right? Hey, that's what we here for. That's what we doing. We have a beautiful team at the Healing Chamber, right? And we also have things in place for those who aren't completely ready just yet, for those intense sessions at the Healing Chamber, right? We got some things coming that's going to help you get prepared, right? So as a reflector, that's what I'm here for, is to make sure you all are getting in preparation for the season. You know what I'm saying? Making sure y'all are being prepared for the season, right? It's things in the shop, the herbs, the natural products, the things that help you get prepared for those intensive sessions, because you might not be ready yet. You might not be ready for that complete reset just yet, right? Because it's going to be something dramatic for you. So you gotta, there needs to be preparation time for that, right? Let me give some quick shout outs before I hop off of here. Everybody, thank you. The Healing Chamber, Cats and Coconuts, Asar, Def Perp, Milan, I see you. Auntie Rhonda's house. Hello, Kenny. Will Burr, 11. Cartier Diarra. Sherry Calico. Who else we got on here? Who else? Milan, T. Rhonda's house, the Cats and Coconuts. TK, what's good? What's good? I see you, bro. We had some other people. I guess they fell off. Idreen Borsom, what's good? What's good? Shaquilla Smith, how you doing? How you doing? Thank y'all for coming on. I ain't gonna hold y'all. That's my Saturday session. Maybe I'll hop on tomorrow. I'm gonna do some sessions with TK. I see you, bro. We need the link too. We need the link. I wanna bring a few guests on. I got some things in mind. I'm gonna bring on a few guests. Some very high performing, powerful, women that are like top of their game when it comes to the things that they do. I want to highlight some of these women. I think what I'm gonna start. You know how people used to do a Woman Crush Wednesday, right? I think I'm gonna start doing Woman Crush Wednesday. I think I'm gonna bring that back, but from my own perspective, right? Not from this, not from how everybody else was doing Woman Crush Wednesday, right? Where everybody was lusting and all of that. I'm talking about Woman Crush Wednesday, where we're showing women who are top of their game, who are building things, who have a vision, who have a mission, who are building, and who are helping build other souls, right? So that's me, your neighborhood reflector, your neighborhood concierge, 3-5, That's what I do. Your neighborhood problem solver. That's who I am. The prodigium, right? The problem prodigy. Just wanted to give y'all a quick shout. This is Saturday Sessions. I look forward to speaking to y'all soon. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless you. Peace.